G'day all you music lovers and creators. My name is Electronics and I'm back with another video. It's been a while. I have been taking some time off. I've been working on other projects and also looking after myself, and I'm very excited to be making another video. I'm in a really good place. I don't know, there's just been a shift in me this year, and for the first time in a very long time, I feel like I'm really on the right path, and I feel different in my soul this year. Like, I've worked on a lot over the past year emotionally, and this year I'm feeling the benefits of that. I really am, which I'll talk more about maybe in another video, maybe later on down the track. But let's just say I'm in a good place. I'm looking after myself. I'm doing really well with my music journey behind the scenes. You're not really seeing a lot of it at the moment, but some good things have been happening. All right, so I just wanted to share this topic on how I followed my purpose in my 30s as a musician, because I feel that there is a strong belief, and I don't feel it, I know it. I've heard other big artists say this, that music is a young person's game, implying that once you hit a certain age, you are of no use anymore, you are disposable, that you should just forget about having any kind of music career. And I think that's a load of absolute bullshit. So I wanted to share my story on how I followed my purpose in my 30s as a musician, to hopefully shed some insight, to hopefully inspire you in your own journey. Because if you are like me 10 years ago and stuck in a job that you don't enjoy, that's not your purpose, that isn't fulfilling, and you're looking to change your life, it's pretty overwhelming. You're probably thinking, well, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to eat? How am I going to pay my mortgage? I mean, I had a mortgage 10 years ago, and I was thinking the same, like, how am I going to pay my mortgage, like, to follow my dream of music? I didn't have kids though, but you might have kids. You might be thinking, well, I've got kids, I've got a family. How am I going to provide for them? Yeah, very good questions to ask. And following your purpose, when you hit your 30s, is not going to be easy, but it's not impossible. It's going to require a lot of courage, a lot of desire, and a lot of faith. You're going to need all of those things to work through the emotional blocks that you have to following your purpose, because it's all emotional. Like, it's not even really about the physical, like, limitations. It's mostly to do with the emotional blocks and limiting beliefs that you have that prevents you from taking action in your life to follow your purpose. So I just want to put this out into the world, that if you are thinking that 30 is too late or too old to start following your dreams and your passions and your purpose, think again, because it is never too late to start following your purpose. It is never too late to start following your dreams, because if the sun rises and you wake up, that means you still have things to do. You're not done yet in this world. So just a little bit about my background and where I was 12 years ago. So basically, I was working in a university. I was earning probably around 75,000 AUD a year. Not much, but more than the average, I suppose. I was working in the corporate marketing sector of the university. So I was actually a student recruitment coordinator, and my role was to attract students to the university through doing different types of events and, speaking to prospective students on a call center and things like that. So I was doing that while at the same time I was in a high amount of addiction in my life. So throughout the week, I'd be good girl, failure, student recruitment coordinator, going to work, doing my 9 to 5. And on the weekends, I would be getting totally annihilated, and I'd be drinking, I'd be taking drugs, and I'd be partying my life away. So, of course, when I went to work, I wasn't functioning 100%. I was always tired. I was always getting to work late. And over time, things just got worse and worse. And it got to the point where I decided I wanted to do something about my addictions. And in 2012, I went into my own personal kind of rehab where I basically started to get healthy. I did a detox. I started to take supplements and eat better. I wasn't going out and partying anymore. I just stopped doing what I was doing before. So basically, I stopped going out and partying. I stopped taking drugs and I stopped drinking. And as I did this, I noticed that there was like this layer of numbness that was removed from me, and I started to feel again. And all of a sudden, like this job that I'd been doing, I started to feel like, what am I doing here? Like all of a sudden, like previously when I was partying and taking drugs, I wasn't questioning my pathway. I was just happy to go along with the motions, and I was just happy to go to work, and like it was like I was numb to my environment. I was numb to what I was actually doing on a day-to-day basis. I was just numbed out and I was just going through the motions. But when I started to get sober, it was like I was becoming unnumb, and all of a sudden being in that work environment felt like, whoa, I don't like being here. Like I was starting to feel the discomfort and the, I guess, confliction in my soul of like, this isn't my life purpose. This isn't my life journey. I'm completely so far away from my purpose right now. And if it wasn't for getting off these substances, and if it wasn't for cleaning up my life, I probably would still be just doing jobs and being numbed out on a day-to-day basis, not realizing like just the pain that I was in. But as soon as I became unnumb, I started to feel the pain again. I started to feel the discomfort of being somewhere that I knew in my soul I wasn't meant to be. And so that's what really made me look at my life. So the first thing that I had to do to follow my purpose was to get sober. Getting sober helped me to start to feel again and to be sensitive to what was going on in my life and in my environment and in the places that I was, working in. So getting sober was a very, very big part of being able to follow my purpose, because that helped me to realize and feel that I wasn't living my purpose. And like I said, prior to that, it was as if I was just numb to the fact that I wasn't living my purpose. And yeah, so it was like a big sort of like awakening that I had when I got sober, and I was like, I am totally in the wrong job. This is not my life. What am I doing here? It was like I woke up all of a sudden one day from a really kind of like deep sleep, and I was just like, why am I here in this workplace? This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And so getting rid of my substances was a very big part of me following my purpose. From removing these substances, the next thing that I had to develop was a desire. So the only thing that was stopping me from not living my purpose was a lot of fears. And these fears overpowered any desire for change that I had. So I had to develop a very strong desire to outweigh the fears that I had. Not saying the fears went away, but my desire. So if my fears were up here, my desire had to go to that level, You can't even see that, or can you? But let me try that again. So if my fears were here, and that's a lot, my desire had to go to here in order to make a change. And so I had to grow a really strong feeling and desire that I wanted to change. And that no matter what fears I had about transitioning into living my purpose, that I had to develop a strong enough desire to override those fears so that I can make a choice. And that's really all it came down to, was developing a strong, strong desire to make a choice. And then, of course, once that desire is strong in you, then you have to take action on that to make the choice. And that's what I had to do, is that when I had a strong enough desire to change and to have the courage to change from what I was doing and into my purpose of being a musician and an artist, the beautiful thing about that was that the law of attraction brought me opportunities to change. So that's the way that I see it. Without desire to change, without feeling a really strong desire in yourself to change your life, you're going to be blocking a lot of opportunities from your life. But as soon as you open up that desire, as soon as you open up your heart to truly like changing and wanting to change your life, I strongly believe, because it happened to me, the law of attraction will bring you opportunities to cross over. And that's what happened to me. I was given an opportunity to go and work as a music lecturer at my old school, music school that I used to study at. So I got a phone call one day when I was at uni from my old teacher, and he rang me up and said, "Hey, I heard you're looking to change jobs, you're looking for work. Would you be interested in coming to teach at, the school again? Not again, but would you be interested in coming to teach at the school? We have some like classes that we'd like you to take on." And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I'd love to do it, but I don't feel like I know enough to be able to teach. But he had such faith in me that I could do it. And so I went from being completely unhappy in my job at this university to now going to work back at the school that I used to study at. How is that for a law of attraction, But that showed me that, wow, God hears my desires. God knows what I want for my life. And God brought me an opportunity to get out of the job that I was in and into doing my true passion. And yes, obviously, it wasn't, I had achieved everything in that moment, that I wanted to achieve in my purpose, but I was getting placed on the right path. So that taught me desire needs to outweigh fear. You need to, develop such a strong desire that you don't care what fears you have, you're going to do it anyway. And some of the limiting beliefs that I had, which were fears, was about what I mentioned at the beginning. How am I going to pay rent? How am I going to eat? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my mortgage? All of these fears that I had stopped me from actually making this choice 10 years earlier. You know what I mean? So I wasted a lot of years just living in fear and doing different jobs because I felt that, I believed my fears. That's at the end of the day, I wasted many years because I lived in fear of all of these limiting beliefs that I wouldn't be able to make music my career. How am I going to eat? How am I going to pay rent? I lived in all these fears, and to avoid all of these fears, I did all these different jobs that were so unfulfilling and so far from my purpose. And so all it took was for me to have some courage to not listen to those fears and go, you know what? I don't have the answers. I don't know how I'm going to make this work. I have no idea, but I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to trust. And I'm going to take this unstable job teaching music because it was not a full-time job. It had no job stability whatsoever compared to the job that I was leaving. But I'm going to take this very unstable job, and I don't know how I'm going to make it work, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to just trust that if I keep pursuing my purpose, my dreams, that somehow, some way it's going to work out. So against all odds, they were the two main things that I had to do in order to make the switch to following my purpose in my 30s as a musician. I had to give up my physical addictions. I had to get unnumb and become more sensitive to where I was at in life. And I had to make a choice. I had to develop a strong enough desire to overpower all my fears so that I would make the choice to welcome the opportunity when it was presented. And I could have said no to that job, I could have said no because of my fears. But I developed a strong enough desire, and then God, the law of attraction, brought me an opportunity, a choice. You're going to stay here, or you're going to trust and take the red pill. So I took the red pill. Was it the red pill that he took? It was the red one. And that's the beauty of developing desire. The universe responds to your desire because desire is emotions, and the universe responds to the emotions in your soul, the desires in your soul. So the universe is going to bring you opportunities, or the universe is going to block you from opportunities depending on what's going in your soul, depending on what you're feeling. So that's how I did it. I took the job, and from there, things just kept getting added and added and added. And different opportunities came to me, and different opportunities where I ended up over here in Sydney working for the Sydney Festival. And from there, I went and got my degree in music after I finished working there. And my life has just continued to grow towards my purpose. My life has continued to flourish and get better and better each year. My life has improved and grown every single year. So I'm definitely not saying the journey hasn't been easy over the past 10 years, but I'm saying the journey has been worth it. And the journey has not just helped me in my passion for music, but it's helped me to grow as a person. It's helped me to grow in my soul and to become a better person than I was. If you had have known me prior to 10 years ago, I wasn't a very nice person. And I still have a long way to go, but in comparison to where I was 10 years ago to where I am now as a person, in how I've grown emotionally, it's worlds apart. So yeah, I just recommend, if you are in your 30s and you think it's too late to follow your dreams, to follow your passions, I highly recommend to look at some of the limiting beliefs you have around following your purpose and your passions in your 30s. So some of those limiting beliefs could include feeling a deep shame about your age and how old you are. It could be about looking and feeling too old. It could be about feelings of inadequacy, that you're not as good as the younger people that are around you or coming up. I studied at university when I was basically 35, going on 34 on to 35. So, or maybe I was already 35. So I was 35 when I was studying at university, with a bunch of young people, so there could be all these limiting beliefs that you have around age and what that means to you, that was projected onto you, from either your family, friends, or even just society in general, because I know that there is a lot of ageism in society. So there's a lot of feelings to go through about age and growing older. So by facing some of those limiting beliefs and working through the causes of where those beliefs come from, the emotional causes, and just grieving through some of those limiting beliefs, that's going to help you to grow a big desire, because all these limiting beliefs are fears. Your fears suppress desires. The more fears you have, and if you don't work through your fears, the more your true desires will be suppressed. So I recommend to work through those limiting beliefs, work through those fears, feel through them, so that you can start to outgrow your fears with desire, strong desire, to have the courage to step into your purpose. So it's important to realize that your fears are just feelings, and that the more you can acknowledge those feelings, feel them, but don't act on them, the more you will be able to work towards living your purpose, because you'll develop more desire, more courage, more faith, that no matter how afraid you are, you trust. You trust that by making the right choices for your life, you'll be taken care of. So it's always important to do the opposite to what your fears are telling you to do. Your fears don't want you to start living your purpose. Your fears tell you that you're too old. Your fears tell you that you're not good enough. Your fears tell you that, you're never going to make it. Your fears tell you that you're never going to survive, that you're going to go homeless, you're going to not be able to eat. All of your fears tell you these things. But if you just do the opposite to what your fears tell you, from my experience, you're always going to be taken care of if you put in the work, if you trust, and especially if you develop this relationship with God. Honestly, I couldn't have done this journey without God. That would be the third thing on my list of how I followed my purpose in my 30s. It was through experimenting with a relationship with God that really helped me to stick to my path. These two just helped me to get going, like giving up my addictions and developing a strong desire. That just got me onto the path. But what helped me to stay on the path was finding God again in my life. I'm not religious. I don't go to church. I've said this millions of times. I'm gay. I'm a gay soul, but I believe in God and I love God, and I've experienced God in my life enough to know that I can rely on God to lead me and guide me when things get tough, when some days I feel so empty and lost inside. I know that I can rely on this relationship with God, that I can just talk to God at the very least, and that God's going to help me to get through anything. So the thing that helped me to stay on this path towards my purpose is through developing a relationship with God and getting to know God on a personal level. Just me and God here in my studio. I don't go to church or anything, but just me and God here in my studio. Just me talking and sharing with God and seeking out God in my life. Help me to stay on this tough 10-year journey of following my purpose as a musician. So if you can find a way to just talk to God, be honest with God, seek out God in your life, that's also going to help you in fulfilling your purpose. Because the way that I see it, God created my soul. God created me. So God wants me to fulfill my purpose. God wants me to be doing the thing that makes me happy. So God's the one that's going to help me to do it the most. And I can tell you right now that God has led me and guided me throughout this whole 10 years. And it hasn't been an easy journey, but it's definitely been worth it. And I'm just, glad that I had the courage all those years ago to take the red pill, take that opportunity, take a chance, even though I had no idea of how I was going to make this work in my life. And if you completely hate God and don't want nothing to do with God, that's okay. You're allowed to feel that way, and it's you are still loved. Like, you are still loved immensely, in this world. You still have value. You still have purpose. And if you don't want to do it with God, that is totally okay as well, because you know what? You've got your emotions, and if you just even allow yourself to be sensitive to what's inside of you, to be sensitive to your feelings, to your pain, to how life is affecting you on a daily basis, and if you just allow yourself to feel those feelings every day, that's also going to be a very powerful tool that you have, because your soul is the most powerful creator in this universe. And all of your emotions, all of your beliefs, all of your fears, they're a part of your soul. So the more you can feel through and work through your trauma, the more you can be a magnet to attract positivity into your life through the law of attraction. When I started this journey, I didn't want a relationship with God. When I started, this journey, with these two things, giving up my addictions and developing a strong desire, I did not have God in my life at all. Even though I didn't have God in my life, I was still brought an opportunity. God still gave me an opportunity. God doesn't care if you want God in your life or not. God's still going to lead you and guide you anyway, whether you know it or not. And looking back, I saw it as, oh, look, someone's ringing me up to see if I want to go work at this music school. I didn't go, oh, God's giving me an opportunity. I just saw it as I have another choice. Wow, I've been brought a choice, So my point is that you don't have to do this with God, but you can if you want to. And if you do, it's just going to be even 100 times better than doing it on your own. But with or without God, you're still going to be loved. You're still going to have value. You're still going to have purpose in this world. And God is still going to be rooting for you anyway, to fulfill your purpose, and has already, set up the universe in a way that you can still live without God if you want to. And I think that's beautiful. That is the most beautiful gift from God, is that God's gone, I've given you free will. You can have me in your life if you want. If you don't, I still want to try and make this to be the best experience for you in this world. So I've set up all of these laws of the universe, like the law of attraction, the law of, compensation, the laws of love, so that you can experience the most happiness in your life with or without me. And my point is that you can, you can achieve and fulfill your purpose in life, no matter what, no matter at the very least. If you work on giving up your addictions and everything that you were doing to suppress and avoid feeling certain emotions in your life, if you can give up all your addictions to become unnumb and develop a strong desire through working through all of these false beliefs, all of your fears, so that your desire can outweigh your fears. If you just do those two things and then see what opportunities come your way, make choices, take action to make choices to get yourself on the path to living your purpose, then that's a great start. And then later on down the track, if you're like me and you discover God again in your life, you can have God in your life or not. It's up to you. But for me, the way that my life turned out over these past 10 years, even though I didn't really care about God and I didn't really want to know about God ever, somehow God became a part of my life again. And I'm just so fascinated by this concept that there is a entity out there that we can connect to and there's this energetic exchange, like there's love that you can receive from God, and that fascinates me. And it fascinates me that, I don't know, that I can have feelings and thoughts and prayers, and then those things happen and come true. I don't know, it's just wild. I don't understand it all, to be honest. I don't understand it all. But you all wanted to know how I followed my purpose in my 30s as a musician. Well, that's how I did it. I had a lot of fears that were holding me back, that prevented me for many years from having the courage to follow my purpose. And I used substances as a way to actually suppress those fears. And once I got rid of the substances, they all started coming up again, and feelings started coming back to me. But yeah, I had to give up my addictions, and I had to develop a strong desire. I had to make choices and take action in my life. And I had to have a severe amount of trust and faith, and I still do. So if you are thinking it's too late to start trying, just know that life isn't over at 30, life isn't over at 40, life isn't over at 50, life isn't over at 60. Life is only over when you stop trying. So if there's something you want to do with your life, if you have a dream, a goal, a passion, something that eats away at your soul every single day when you wake up, something that deeply says inside of you, this is what I want to do. You can do it. You can do it. It's not going to be easy, and it's going to require a lot of emotional overwhelm, emotional sensitivity, willingness to be emotional. But you can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to. So fast forward 10 years, and I'm now 100% living in my purpose, and I'm 100% putting in a solid effort to fulfill my potential. I'm not saying I am fulfilling it 100%, but I'm putting in a very solid effort to live close to who I am as a soul, my personality, my nature, to be who God created me to be the child that God created me to be, in all the personality and quirks that He's given me. And I am giving it a solid effort to be true to that, to be true to who I am. And I think there's a lot of fulfillment that comes in living your truth, living your purpose, and being who you were created to be. In my experience, like, the greatest gift you could ever give yourself is to have feelings and to have desires. If you don't have feelings or desires, you're never going to change. So your feelings, your desire to change is what's going to create opportunities in your life. Your emotions are energetic, and they send signals out into the universe. And your emotions are what draw and attract opportunities to you. So it's important for you to really know what you want, to really have a desire, so that you can draw opportunities to you through the law of attraction. So if there's one takeaway that you can get from today, is to get unnumb. Start having strong desires about what you want for your life. Desire creates change. Without desire, your life will never change. So make sure you know what you want. You have goals. You have desires. You have strong feelings about where you want your life to go, because you're going to be able to create change through your desires. So obviously there's a lot more to it, but if you want to check out some of my free resources, head to the link in the description. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I hope you have been able to get something from it, and that it inspires you on your journey to following your purpose in your life. And let me know in a comment if there's anything I can do to help you on your music journey. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Electronics, and I'll see you in the next video.